Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel. Today I'm going to deal with a Bible share called Cover Your Head. Now, I may do a part 1 and a part 2 because I don't want long videos. And I will do another Bible share called Uncover Your Head. So Cover Your Head is for the females because she's supposed to be covering her head when she's praying and prophesying. And Uncover Your Head is for the males. And he's supposed to be uncovering his head when he's praying and prophesying. Now, when you actually become a new creation and you actually leave the Christian church behind and all the foolishness that goes with it, right, you realize that there's so much in the Bible that you haven't been taught, right? And one of the things that you've noticed is that the thing that you read all the time in your Bible, that you've never really gave a moment's notice to it because you've spent all your time in the Christian church and you've never heard your pastor say anything about it. You know, because there's people sitting in the congregation with their hat on, people singing on the pulpit with their hats on. You even got the pastor. He has his hat on while he's preaching. I mean, so you don't really think about it too much. But when you come out of that and the Lord opens your eyes to see the truth for what it is, you realize that those who have truly woken up, those women that have truly woken up, they cover their heads when they're praying and prophesying, and they take it very, very seriously. And the men who really take it seriously uncover their heads. Now, there are people in Israelite churches that wear meat trees and all sorts of things on their head and they justify it. But I'm going to actually go through the Bible to prove that that is not really above board. That's not really what you're supposed to be doing, right? So it's a two-edged thing. So I'm going to talk about the females covering their head and the males uncovering his head, right? So I'm hopefully going to give some edification on this topic. So here we go. So let's go to 1 Corinthians 11:3, and we're going to read from 3 to 15. So we're pretty much going to, the theme of this Bible share is going to be this chapter, right? Because this is where it talks about the New Testament law on what a person is supposed to do when they're praying and prophesying. So let's read. So it's 1 Corinthians 11, and we're going to read from 3 to 15. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. So we're going to read the whole thing, and then I'm going to come back and then hopefully edify you on the verses, right? But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. So let's repeat that again. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoureth his head. But every woman that prayed or prophesied with her head uncovered dishonoureth her head, for that is even all one as if she was shaven. For if a woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to have shorn or shaven, let her be covered. 7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and the glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is a man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of God. Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Do it not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him, but if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering, right? So that is all those verses are action-packed, full of things to dissect, right? And really, this tells you all you need to know, really. You don't really have to go to different scriptures because this should really be straightforward, right? Now, it sounds a little bit convoluted, but when you actually read it and you have understanding, you realize it's not really convoluted at all, right? It's just that in the church, it's not been brought out and it's not been explained properly. So therefore, a lot of people get confused about that chapter, right? And a lot of people see it there And then they kind of say, well, it doesn't really matter whether someone is covered or uncovered. Who cares? You know? And really, it does matter because it's there, right? If it didn't matter, it wouldn't be there. It's as simple as that, right? Okay. So let's go back to 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. So there is an order, okay? Because the Most High deals with everything in decently and in order. There is an order to everything that the Most High does. The Most High is dealing with Israel first, right? And then Israel needs to do what we need to do to rule the nations with a rod of iron, right? So there is an order to everything that the Most High does. There's a process, right? And in this process of the new covenant, we see, to be honest, that's always been the case from the beginning, right? I mean, this is nothing new. This has always been the case. That order has always been there. But Paul saw it fit to reiterate it so that it's very clear to everyone about the order. And the order was, I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. So the head of every single man here on earth, every single black man, Israelite man, right? Because that's really what it's talking about. The Bible is talking about Israelite men, okay? And an Israelite man is a black man, is a Negro, right? So if you've been through the curses of Deuteronomy 28, and you fit the location and the description of an Israelite, then you are the Israelite. And most importantly, the Most High has put his spirit inside of you to understand his word. You are the Israelites of the Bible. So you must fit the locations, you must fit the description of an Israelite, and you must, most importantly, go through the curses, and the Most High must put his spirit on you, okay? So, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man. So the head of the woman is man, right? The head of the woman is not Christ, although technically he is, but her earthly head is the man, right? So her head is the man, right? And the head of Christ is God, right? And the head of the children is the woman. Okay, or the children, their parents are their heads. So the next order above the children would be the woman, right? So children to woman, woman to man, and then the man submits to Christ, and Christ submits to the Most High. That's the order, right? Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. So any man who is covering his head while he's talking about the scriptures, while he's praying, while he's, studying the scriptures, or whatever he's doing to do with the Most High, to do with the Most High's word, he needs to uncover his head, right? So you can't sit in a church congregation with your cap on, because that's disrespectful to Christ, right? Because it directly tells you, and straightforwardly tells you, clearly tells you, that it dishonors your head. So let's read 4 again. For every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. So you're supposed to take your hat off. Whatever you have on your head, you need to take it off. So if you're a man, you need to take whatever you have on your head, you need to take it off. But every woman that praying or prophesying with her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head. So a woman is supposed to have her head covered, regardless to what. Her head should always be covered when she's praying or prophesying, i.e. she must have a veil, or she must have a prayer cloth, or she must have a head wrap, right? That's what our foremothers did. Our foremothers wore head wraps. Even during slavery, that's what we did. While we were in Africa and in the Caribbean too, we wear head wraps. We wear head wraps. That's where we got it from. We got it from the Bible, right? Head wraps and veils and prayer cloths. Okay. So let's read it again. But every woman that pray or prophesying with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. So if she doesn't cover her head, is as if she was shaven. Because when a woman shaves her head, it's very, very shameful. It's a shameful thing. Because the hair is given to a woman as a glory, as a covering, as a glory. Okay? Let's say glory for now. Okay? So the hair is given to a woman for her glory. It's what makes her feminine. Okay? It's what makes her feminine. She is naturally wired to want long hair. That's why the black woman is always wearing weaves and extensions and wigs. And she's always doing that. Why? Because naturally she feels that she's not feminine enough unless she has long hair. Okay? So let's read it again. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoureth her head, for that is even all one as if she was shaven. So it's as if like she was shaved her head. Very shameful thing. But if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for the woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. So let her be covered. So verse number 6 is making a point. So let's go back to verse number 6. But if the woman be covered, if she is covered, i.e. she has a head covering, let her also be shamed. So if she's not covered, rather, so if she doesn't have a head covering, let her be shaven. In other words, just shave her head. Because that's a shameful thing. Because if the woman doesn't want to cover her head, it's almost like she's, well, not almost, it's like she's shaven. It's shameful. For if the woman be covered, let her also be shorn. And if the woman be not covered, we read in 6 here, but if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn, means shaven. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, it means when you shave all your hair off, let her be covered. All right. So if it's a shame for a woman to be shaven, let her have a head covering. So it's making a point. She needs to have a head covering. A woman is not supposed to be praying or prophesying without a head covering, period. And a man is not supposed to be praying or prophesying with anything on his head because he dishonoureth Christ. So let's continue. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of man. So this is a very profound verse because very often in the Christian church, nobody really goes over that in any real detail, right? So let's read that again. For a man ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. So man is the glory of God, not the woman, right? Because men were made in the image of God. So man is the glory of God, okay? Not the woman. But the woman is the glory of man. So the woman came from the man. The female came from the man. She was called woman. Why? Because she came from man. Okay, so she is the glory of man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. So here's where it explains it now. For the man is not of the woman. He didn't come from the woman originally, but the woman of the man. But the woman came from the man. You know, these days they say, oh, well, a woman gave birth to you, so you came from a woman. No. Originally, the woman came from the man. Okay? You can't get away from that, right? The woman comes from the man. That's why she's called a woman. It means from the man. Number 9. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. So the man was not created for the woman, but the woman was created specifically for the man. That's why we get to dictate what we like and what we don't like. Why? Because the woman was made specifically to be the man's glory. The woman was made specifically for the man. Right? That doesn't mean that a man can do whatever he wants. But the Most High is just explaining it to you. This is the order. There is an order. There is a head. The woman is never the head of the man. Ever. So let's read 10. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angel. So this is a very profound verse. Right? Very, very profound verse. Because it says, for this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. So I tell you what, let's stay there and we'll come back to there. So we're going to go to a few scriptures now to explain that bit, right? So we're going to go to, first of all, we're going to go to we are going to go to Matthew 18:10. So we're going to go to Matthew 18:10. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. Okay, the important thing that we need to take from that is that every single person is assigned an angel. So let's read it again. Let's read 10 again. Take heed that ye despise not one of these little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels, meaning the children of Israel, that's the little ones, right? The little ones means the children of Israel, right? Their angels, so when you are born, you are assigned an angel. Their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. So each person is assigned an angel or a series of angels. And those angels or angel has to go backwards and forwards to the Lord, telling the Lord, taking note and telling the Lord what this person is doing and what they're not doing. Okay, that's how it works. And it depends on how you live your life. Depends on how you live your life is how the Lord judges you. Is the things that happens to you in this flesh, right? So when you think that you've done something really, really evil, nobody can get you because time has passed, and the person that you did it to is upset, but there's nothing they can do about it, right? They can't get you. The Lord can get you, right? The Bible says, whatsoever you sow, you reap. So every single person is assigned angels, right? And those angels are there to guide you, to protect you, and to take note of what you're doing, right? So they're carrying messages, conveying messages to the Most High, right? So let's read it again. Take heed that ye despise not one of the little ones, for I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Right, so that's clear that everybody is assigned an angel or angels, right? So let's now go to 1 Peter 3:12. So we are going to go to 1 Peter 3:12. So each person is assigned an angel or a series of angels. And so therefore everything we do in this flesh, they are taking note of it, and you are judged accordingly. So whatever you do in this flesh, you are judged for here on this earth, as well as when you leave this earth, right? So we're going to go to 1 Peter 3, and we're going to read 12. For the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. So let's read it again. For the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous. So the Most High has assigned an angel. So he's looking over the righteous. And his ears are open unto their prayers. So the Most High listens to your prayers with your righteous person. So if you are obedient to the Most High, right, the Most High hears your prayers. But the face of the Lord is against them that do evil. So if you are wicked, if you do wickedness in this flesh, the Most High won't answer your prayers, or he will say no to your prayers, or he will judge you accordingly and curse you accordingly, if you know what I mean, right? So the point that I'm trying to make in terms of angels is that they are good angels that are assigned to you when you are born, right? And they're also angels that are swimming around called demons. Okay, so let's go to Jude 6. So let's go to Jude 6. So we're going to read Jude 6. There's two sets of angels. So you have the good angels and the bad angels. Not all angels are good angels, right? So let's read Jude 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So these are wicked angels. They are demons. Okay, so let's read it again. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of that great day. Because those demons eventually will be subdued in the lake of fire, or the bottomless pit, right? In the bottomless pit, or pits of hell. right? They will be sent there with Satan himself, right? So that's what the scripture is saying. So let's read 7 actually. Even so, Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Okay, so I suppose he's giving an example, like Sodom and Gomorrah, which are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of an eternal fire. So the Most High still hasn't forgotten Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So it's the same type of demons that were in that city that are in the world right now swimming around, right? The same type of demons. I'm not sure if it's the same demons, but the same type of demons are swimming around. Right, that's why you have all sorts of wickedness going on all over the world. Sexual confusion, you have adultery, you have all sorts of wickedness, pornography, you know, all sorts of vile things happening all around us. Crime, thievery, thuggery, all sorts of wickedness, right? So you have the good angels and the bad angels, right? So let's now go to Ephesians 6. So we're now going to go Ephesians 6:12. So we're still dealing with the angels, because it says in 1 Corinthians 11, it says the angels with power over your head, right? So 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? So we wrestle with demons, but in the spiritual realm. Okay, because it's the fight against your flesh, right? Because your flesh wants to, because everything is spiritual, right? It's just that we can't see the spirit, but everything that we do is spiritual. So in the spiritual realm, you have the good angels and the bad angels, right? And you have you. And you're more susceptible to go for the bad angels, which is fleshly, right? So it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So that's really where the war is, because most people have given themselves over to demons. Okay, just to summarize, because I'm going to end the part 1 here, and I'm going to continue it in a part 2. Right, so hopefully you've gained something from part 1. Some of it you may already know, right? But hopefully for those of you that didn't really know this, hopefully it's a little bit clearer, right? So cover your head is primarily for females, right? So it's pertaining to females when they are prophesying and praying. When praying or dealing with the Bible, anything to do with the Lord's word, anything related to the Lord's word, then it's best for her to cover her head, right? So when you are in a prayerful mood for the day and you're fasting, it might be a good idea to keep your head covered throughout the day, right? But what the Bible doesn't teach is that a woman is to have her head covered all the time, right? That's not in there. It's only when she is praying or prophesying, and this is in respect, in honor of her head, which is man, right? So as stated, man is to uncover his head, which means no mitre. A man is not supposed to have a mitre, no baseball cap, no sleeping cap, etc. on your head. A man is not supposed to have anything at all on his head, as this disrespects his head, which is Christ, right? Because why? Because Christ dismantled the priesthood. So he has now become the high priest, the sole high priest of the body, right? Because in the old covenant, we had the priesthood, the Levite priesthood, right? And we had Moses, who was the head, and the Aaron, obviously the Aaron as well. So we had the Levite priests that were over the body, but in the new covenant, we don't have that anymore. Why? Because Christ dismantled the priesthood, so he became the high priest. So in so doing, he instructed the new covenant or new contract change. So therefore, a man is not supposed to have a mitre, not supposed to have a baseball cap or any kind of cap or any hoodie or any prayer cloth. He's not supposed to have any of that on his head, right? Because it was given by the Most High via Christ and told to the disciples to say that, right? Paul, right? There has been a shift for men, right? And the new covenant, it requires them not to have anything on their head when they are praying or prophesying. So there is a clear difference between a man and a woman. So it's not the Lord is just angry with women. No, women and men are different, right? We are different. We're not the same. So therefore, what applies to a man doesn't apply to a woman, because there is an order. You see, the Most High does things in order, right? He always does things in decency and in order, right? There is always an order. And the order is woman submits to man, man submits to Christ, and Christ submits to the Most High. All of this is spiritual, physical, in the physical, and there's a lot of things going on in the spiritual realm where this stuff needs to be followed. These rules, regulations, these laws, whatever you want to call it, the laws, commandments should be followed, right? So we are currently under the new covenant, and that has been the change in the new covenant contract. Brothers and sisters, I hope you were edified. Shalom.